Okay. So welcome. I am glad to see everybody tonight in our first Zoom meeting for EDL710. For those of you that I've had the honor to have in class previously, welcome back. It's good to see you guys. For those of you that are new, I'm excited to get to work with you and to learn a little bit about everybody. So tonight will probably be a little bit shorter than our normal Zoom meetings because this is our getting started week. So what we're going to do is we're going to, hey Melissa, good to have you back. We're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the course. For those of you that are new, I'll show you how my course is set up so you can hopefully successfully and easily navigate Moodle for EDL710. And then we're going to start just a little bit of the content for tonight so that we can hopefully get up and running with everything. Before we get started, if you're doing Zoom meetings, if you will scroll over your little screen, you'll see in the top right-hand corner, there's like 3 blue buttons. If you will just make sure that you mute your microphone unless you're actually talking. Sometimes we get this horrible feedback stuff. So do that and mute yourselves if you don't mind, not that we don't want to hear from you, but then when you're ready to talk, don't forget to unmute so that we can all join in. So let me go ahead to, I'm going to share my screen and we'll start walking through tonight's presentation. So give me just 1 second here to get this moving. If my computer is going to cooperate. There we go. Okay, thumbs up. Can you guys see the PowerPoint now? Everybody good? Awesome, thank you. All right, so tonight, like I said, we're going to start kind of delving into EDL710, which is one of my favorite classes to teach, and it deals with leading instruction and assessment. So the whole idea behind the course is there will be a few things that may be repetitive from other courses, like we do talk about vision and mission, which is a big part of the PLC course, EDL700. We talk a little bit about curriculum, which is also a part of ED720 curriculum. But the whole idea here is from the leader's perspective of how you connect the two. So oftentimes, you know, my experience has been that I'll see leaders who think instruction's one thing and assessment's completely different. And when we treat it that way, we don't get very good results. So the whole idea behind the course is that connectivity between instruction, assessment, and curriculum. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do tonight are some, what I call some quick roundtable introductions. So let me pull this off and stop sharing for a minute. So I'll start off, and here's what I want you to do. Tell me who you are, where you're located at and where you work, what your position is, and what you aspire to. So like, you know, when I retire, I want to retire as da-da-da, okay? So Tracy Johnson. Obviously, I work here at LSUS. I'm actually a native Texan, transplanted to Louisiana and Bossier 4 years ago. I've already retired, and so I retired, which was where I wanted to. I wanted to be an assistant superintendent, and I retired from the Dallas Independent School District in that role. So let's see, who wants to go first? Because I can see your name, so I can call on you.
I'll start.
Okay, thanks, Brandi.
I'm Brandi Celestine. I'm from Breaux Bridge, Louisiana, and currently I'm a 8th grade science teacher at Breaux Bridge Junior High. I want to retire as a principal or assistant principal, either or.
Okay, awesome. Welcome. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Okay,
thanks, Mary. Go ahead.
I'm Horace, excuse me. I'm Monroe Moore, and I teach 2nd grade. I'm from Sunset. I teach at Evangeline Elementary, and I aspire to retire as a principal.
Awesome. So local person here. She's at Evangeline and loves 2nd graders. That's a fun age. Welcome. Okay, who's up next?
I'll go. I'm at gymnastics, so it's really loud.
That's okay.
I'm Melissa. I teach second grade special ed in Luling, Louisiana, originally from Colorado. Hoping to get back there. Want to retire as a principal or superintendent.
Awesome. Thank you for taking care of our special babies. That was my teaching field back in the day. So thank you very much. We appreciate that kind of work. Welcome. Okay, who's up next? Okay.
I'll go. Is it me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know how. Me?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm Murray Corville. I actually know Miss Mary Monroe. We are from the same area. I'm from like the Lafayette area in Louisiana, but I'm currently in Gonzales. I teach at Dutchtown Middle, 6th grade English, and I want to retire as a assistant principal for discipline.
Oh,
So.
wow. I wish I'd known you back when I was a principal. Nobody ever wanted that job.
I feel like that's my strength. So
awesome. That's great.
Cool.
Welcome. We're glad to have you. Okay. Who else?
I'll go.
Okay. Oh. Thanks, Nicole.
My name is Nicole Tanner, and I teach at Santa Mo High School in Ascension Parish, and I'm a 9th grade algebra and geometry teacher, and I also work with ACT prep classes, and I aspire to retire as an assistant principal.
Awesome. Thank you. 9th grade, the make or break year, and particularly
it sure is.
Yeah. I haven't worked with freshmen in a very long time, and I'm teaching a freshman class here at LSUS, and oh my, it's just like freshman high school all over again.
There are definitely never a dull moment.
No. And sometimes the questions they ask, I'm just like, where did that?
Not even on topic.
Yeah, has nothing to do with anything. Yeah, funny how they repeat that cycle in college. Well, glad to have you. Thank you. Okay, who's up next?
I can go next.
Okay, thanks, Latoya.
I'm Latoya Hemphill. I'm actually local here in Shreveport, Louisiana. I'm a graduate student within a doctoral program of leadership studies. And I currently work as a coordinator of adult education with Southern University of Shreveport here in town. And I aspire to, upon completing my doctoral degree, to obtain a deanship position, hopefully in student affairs.
Oh, awesome. Definitely. That sounds great. Well, you know, whatever good's going on at Southern, you be sure and tell us so we can steal those good ideas over here.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Thanks, Latoya. Glad to have you. Okay, who's up next?
I'll go next.
Okay, thanks. Is
My
it
name
Rochelle?
is Rochelle Martin.
Did I say it right, Rochelle?
Yes.
Okay.
I currently work at SLCC here in Lafayette, Louisiana. This is my first delve into education. I've always had a passion for it. I hope to retire as a leader in a higher education position or an instructor in higher education. Currently, I work in, like Latoya, I work in adult education at SLCC here in Lafayette, Louisiana.
Awesome. Well, good. So you guys really are tuned into how adults learn and how it's very different than what our K-12 students need. So super important, you know, especially if you aspire to leadership roles, that, you know, we cannot do the same thing with our teachers and others as we would do with our students. So great. We look forward to you guys both having some great insights for us. Okay, who else?
Hi, I'll go next.
Hey, Lindsay, is that you? Go ahead.
Yes. So my name's Lindsay Colgan. I'm a first grade inclusion teacher at Central Primary in Ascension Parish, and I aspire to retire as an assistant principal.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, for those of you that aspire to the principalship, I think I share this frequently in my classes, but the latest statistics tell us that 50% of all serving or current principals can and most likely will retire in the next 5 years. So lots and lots of job openings coming, and fewer people are wanting to assume that role and responsibility. So those of you that think, I just want to be an assistant principal, just know that you're probably going to have somebody twisting your arm to move into that principalship eventually too. Okay, who else? Let's see, who have we not heard from? Damien. Yeah, be sharing on mic. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
All right, my name is Damien Moses, and I'm in New Orleans, Louisiana, originally, but I live in Kenner right now. I'm a mental health specialist, and so I have about 14 boys that I work with, and also I substitute teach it from grade school, middle school to high school. I've seen it from many different spectrums. Mostly I deal with the issues that they go through, not only at school, but in the home. So I've had direct contact with all the principals, all the counselors, all of the nurses, and hopefully I will someday retire as a principal myself.
Awesome. That sounds like not only a wonderfully rewarding job, but my gosh, how absolutely critical is that need. So thank you for doing the work that you're doing, as well as being a substitute, the unsung heroes of schools, I tell you. So thank you.
Right.
Excited to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, who have I not heard from? I've got a couple that don't have names. So is there anybody I haven't heard from?
I don't know if you can.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Melissa, and I'm from Baton Rouge, and I'm currently an ESL secondary instructional support specialist. And I would like to take more of a leadership role in, hopefully, the field working with ESL students.
Awesome. Thanks, Melissa. Glad to have you. ESL, probably the fastest growing, ESL in bilingual education, fastest growing job fields in education right now. I know just in Texas alone, if they hired every single person who graduated in the state with a degree in bilingual education, they wouldn't even fill the vacancies in Dallas, Texas alone. There's a huge, huge need. So if you're looking to grow and expand your career, if you're not already ESL certified, get the certification. High demand. Okay, who else have I not heard from? Did I get everybody?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Hey, Robin. I just don't see your picture, but yeah, go ahead.
No, I can't figure that out. My name is Robin. I live in Natchez, Mississippi. I teach 9th grade ELA and 12th grade career development.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, once upon a time I taught 9th grade English and senior English. Yeah, you sometimes feel like when you're dealing with freshmen and seniors that you're schizophrenic because
Right, definitely.
So different.
Yes, they are.
Okay, anybody else? Can we get everybody?
Hi. I'm sorry, I was in the store, so I was trying to wait as long as I could.
No,
I am Swanson Swanson. I'm here in Shreveport, Louisiana. I am a 5th grade ELA and reading teacher at Magnolia School of Excellence. My next steps are to be a principal, eventually teach on the collegiate level. As far as retirement, I haven't given that much consideration because I don't know where I'm going to end up. I just want to go as far as possible for as long as possible. So.
Yeah, fair enough. I understand that. I thought I'd go 40, 50 years before I retired, and then it's like, I don't know, just something changed when I hit that place where I could, and I'm like, wow, maybe this is a good idea. But glad to have you. You're close to us, Magnolia, absolutely. Okay, so let's kind of talk a little bit more about the course and expectations and things like that. So, if my computer will cooperate again, let me go back over to my PowerPoint, and hopefully you guys can see it. Okay, everybody good? Okay, it's not liking me, it's not progressing. What are you doing here? Okay, so this sounds probably very fundamental and probably a little bit ridiculous, but I'm going to hopefully push your thinking. So if you're currently in a teaching role, or even a support role, so like if you're working with continuing education or what, I think a lot of times, especially once we've been in the profession for a couple of years, we oftentimes forget the most critical piece of who we are as educators and what is it that we do. So what I mean by that is, I've got a little scenario here. I'm not going to read it to you, but just real quickly, if you guys don't mind, if you can see it okay on the screen, read through the questions here. So my guess is that no matter what role we're in currently, or whatever role we aspire to, these are questions that we all struggle with. You know, I told you guys that I'm teaching a freshman class, and quite frankly, I haven't worked with 18-year-olds since, gosh, directly as a teacher. I won't even tell you how many years ago. Some of you probably weren't even born. You know, as a principal, I left the principalship. I was a high school principal. I left in 2013 to assume the assistant superintendent roles. No, I take that back. 2006. That was a long time ago. And so these are some of the questions that I really kind of struggled with as I was trying to prepare for my classes. You know, how can I, as one person, reach these 30 students? How can I meet them where they are and push them to their next achievement level? Questions that, you know, I think that we sometimes don't really reflect on like we should. So we're going to spend some time in this course deciding who we are as educators and what is it that we do to help others be successful. So kind of a key question behind this course is, do you know what good first instruction looks like? What are the opportunities within that first good instruction? And then what are the barriers? We're also going to spend some time, and I'm not going to go into great depth with a lot of this tonight. You know, what are the hallmarks of effective schools and classroom? You know, how do we put together the goals and objectives that reflect our values, that reflect our beliefs, that really encapsulate what it is that we're about as individuals, as educators, as a faculty, as a school, as a part of the school system, as a part of a city or town or community? How does that all fit together? And when you look at it sort of holistically like that, it can be kind of overwhelming. So I really like this particular quote, and I am going to read this to you. So, the way that we have to approach this course, as we think about moving into those more leadership-oriented roles, whether it's as a coach, as a team leader or a department chair, an assistant principal, a specialist, whatever, we have to have a certain mindset. And I think this really captures it. So if, as a teacher, I present the same lessons in the same manner that I have used in the past, I seek no feedback from my students, I do not analyze and evaluate their work in a manner that changes my own emphasis, repertoire, and timing, I do not visit or observe other adults as they teach, I do not share the work of my students with colleagues for feedback, suggestions, and critiques, I do not visit other schools or attend particular workshops or seminars or read professional literature on aspects of my teaching. I do not welcome visitors with experience and expertise to observe and provide feedback to me on my classroom practice. I have no yearly individualized professional development plan focused on classroom changes to improve student learning. And finally, I have no systemic evaluation of my teaching tied to individual, grade, department, and school-wide goals, then I have absolutely no way to become better as a teacher. Some pretty profound statements in there. So we're going to delve into what that looks like in practice, as well as why it's important, and how each one of these bullet points basically can guide us to really ensuring the best possible student outcomes. So let's talk for a second about expectations. So what is it that you should hope or, you know, hopefully get to learn in this class? So we're going to talk about learning outcomes and assurances of learning. So here's some examples. These are some standards that you'll actually be covering and hopefully mastering in this. These are from the ELCC. So it's basically one of the standards we follow for teacher prep as well as leader prep. So you can see here that hopefully you're going to be able to develop, articulate, implement, and steward a shared vision of learning, that you can know ways to help with sustainable school improvement, etc. So if you would read those at your leisure, please. We also are going to talk about and learn about culture within our schools and how to create that comprehensive, rigorous, coherent curriculum and instruction program, as well as supervise and develop leadership amongst our peers. We're going to talk about how we make sure every student is successful by using data and goal setting. We're also going to talk about how to sustain, because this is a big thing, school improvement. A lot of times, you know, you'll see schools that are really not doing very well, and they'll make these tremendous gains, and they get very close to, you know, their goals and the achievement levels they want. And I will tell you, it is much harder to sustain good achievement than it is to grow achievement. So we're going to talk about that and why that is a fact. We're also going to talk about how we make sure that we're creating learning environments that not only help students thrive, but also are going to carry over into college and into their work lives and into their community relationships, etc. So it's all about high expectations and capacity building. We're also going to talk about distributed leadership. You know, hopefully you're not in a school that still aspires to those old models, but hopefully you're being led by a strong instructional leader who understands that distributed leadership is the only way to success. If you are in one of those schools, then we're going to help you to push and prod your leader to some new directions. So, we're also going to, and this just kind of breaks it down a little bit more, we're going to be talking specifically. So if you're kind of, you know, I'm a big picture person. I like to see the big picture so then I can figure out the stuff in between. So hopefully this is a good visual for people who are those kind of learners. But we're going to talk about mission, vision, and core values and why they matter. We're going to talk about school improvement. We're going to talk about strategic leadership that includes the mission, vision, and improvement for our students. We're going to obviously talk about curriculum and instruction, instructional leadership, equity, and cultural responsiveness. We're going to talk about how professional community is absolutely vital to our teachers and staff, as well as the climate and culture of a school. This is all wrapped within the idea of equity, inclusiveness, cultural responsiveness, how ethics and professional norms can help to guide us with this. Operations and management, even though this isn't a course about that, it does matter and again provides that support system that is needed, etc. So you could go through and read these at your leisure, but just to give you some idea of where we're going. Just took the same ideas and broke them down into pretty quick little bullets. So if you're one of those people that likes to sync things, here we go. Standards, expectations, and mastery, curricular content, methods of teaching, assessment, focus, and data will be areas of focus for us. And we're going to spend some time learning how to look at student work samples, the role of formative and summative assessment, the place that norm reference and criterion reference assessments should be in the schools. Very rarely are they where they should be. How do you go about problem solving? How do you evaluate a school? How do you evaluate the success of a program? Again, going back to vision and mission and establishing the right priorities. And then how is that all impacted by time, resources, and the critical need for good professional development and understanding that we need to really take good care of our human capital. So again, just the same kind of idea, just another graphic. So if you're, you know, one of those visual learners who likes graphics, this might be an easy way to look at this. We're also going to spend some time thinking about principles, not PALS, but PLES, that helps us to really define ourselves as leaders so that we can be true to who we are as human beings and within our own values. So one of the things that, just to remind you, sort of the norms for the class are that everyone in here is a learner, myself included. I learn so much from the students every single time I teach classes. So, you know, we're all learners. That if we're really truly going to learn, we have to have that interplay of social, emotional, and cognitive processes. So while I'm talking at you a lot tonight, that's not going to be the case moving forward. There will be time for everyone to hopefully participate. We also have to understand too that context matters. So, you know, what happens in school A may not necessarily apply in school B, but there may be at least an overarching theme or idea that can apply to both. The way that we become strong leaders is when we have those powerful learning experiences. And anytime, you know, you get to be a leader, it's really going to enhance our overall learning. So I'm not going to go through all of this with you guys, but again, it just talks about what are the conditions for not only leadership, but really success in this classroom. So guys, I'm just going to, you know, I'll tell you here in a minute some of my little pet peeves and stuff and ways to be successful in my class. But I will tell you, I expect you to take risks and I expect you to fail. Not the class, but I expect you to mess up or to not understand or to not get it exactly right. Because if you already knew everything I'm going to teach you, why in the heck do you need this class or me? So I'm going to push your thinking. At least I hope I do. Oh, sorry, I don't know why I just went back so many. So we're also going to talk about leadership for learning. And this is based in collegial inquiry as well as really sharing, guys. Like I said, we've got to be really honest, number one, with ourselves about who we are, what we value, what we believe, as well as our practices. And then we've got to be willing to share that because that's how we all grow, is through that collaborative process. Okay. Hopefully, too, we're going to talk about some things that will help you in your community as a school to really think about how do you harness the expertise of your staff, your parents, and most importantly, your students. Very rarely do we involve students in decision making when it comes to curriculum and instruction, but it is absolutely critical and essential that we do that. And of course, there is accountability. We all know that. It's sort of the dreaded word in, you know, our school systems. So that's kind of the big picture of the course. The last slide is my contact information. So let me just tell you a couple things, you know, that I found it helpful over the years to share with my students. You're welcome to call me Tracy. I am not a doctor, so I am, you know, Tracy is my preferred. LSUS and the LSU system are the only two entities in the entire United States that still want to call me Tracy Fraley Johnson. That is not my name. My name is Tracy Johnson. I worked really hard to get rid of that last name, Fraley, you know, from my ex-husband. So I won't get mad, but don't call me Tracy Fraley, please. Tracy or Tracy Johnson is great. But like I said, I don't know why LSUS can't get it through their heads that I'm not Fraley anymore. Even the United States government knows that I'm not Fraley anymore. That's my office number. I'm usually in my office pretty much always Monday through Friday, 8:30ish till, who knows, some nights I'm here till 5:30, sometimes it's 10 o'clock at night. I generally will answer my phone if I'm in here. If I don't answer, it's because I'm talking to somebody in my office, I'm teaching a class, I'm in a meeting, but just leave a voicemail. I always try to return all calls before I go home every day. On the weekends, nights, or whatever, you are welcome to text me on my cell phone. That's a 972 Dallas number. And the only reason I ask you to text me is I give my cell phone number to the 1,000+ students I advise as well. And people are really bad about, you know, hi Tracy, I need this, this, and this. And I'm like, I have no clue who you are. Or they will call me. And because I spent the bulk of my life in education with teenagers, I'm kind of like they are in some ways. I don't listen to voicemails on my cell phone. So just text me, tell me who you are, what you need, and we can either figure it out on text or I'll have to call you. But like I said, I just need a context of who you are so I can pull materials or whatever. You have my email address. Like I said, feel free to email me. Again, I try to be real responsive. My general turnaround time is 24 hours or less, but on occasion, it may be a little bit longer. So just so you know. My other thing about this class is, and I can quit sharing this too. Hang on, let me just turn this off so we can actually see each other again. Stop sharing. Okay. Oh yeah, I think we got the muted. Everybody's muted now. Yeah, I'm checking. Okay, thanks. Sorry. I can't always see the chat part when I'm looking at the PowerPoint. I was a practitioner of education. I spent 34 years in pre-K-12 education in Texas. Started out as a pre-K teacher of special needs, high school English, did that in Highland Park. Then went to work in Dallas. I've served as a teacher, pre-K 6 and grades 9 and 12 in English and special education. I was a desegregation monitor, so I was responsible for reporting on how Dallas ISD was living up to their court order to desegregate their schools. I reported directly to the federal judge. I was a dean of students, an assistant principal, an elementary principal, a middle school principal, a high school principal, a magnet principal, an assistant superintendent over secondary teaching and learning, and an area superintendent, which was basically I was a superintendent for a segment of the Dallas ISD, responsible for, depending on our population, between 17 and 25,000 students and 14 schools. Quite frankly, I obviously can't keep a job because I changed a whole lot over all those years. But my all-time favorite job ever was being a high school principal, particularly when I got to work with the 26 to 2,800, it varied a little bit year to year, students in Irving, Texas. That was like the best ever. Retired, came here to get married a second time. Was just kind of like, you know what, I can retire from Texas and I get a pretty nice retirement. And I'll just do a Google search because I don't think I can sit at home. And lo and behold, ended up here through a Google search. I didn't know a living soul in this part of the country at the time. So it was just kind of a big leap, but one I'm glad I made. Because I spent 34 years in the trenches, when I give you a deadline, yes, please try to adhere to it, because if you don't, let me tell you what will happen. I don't penalize you for late work. Just communicate with me and let me know if you're going to be late, so I kind of know what's going on with you and we can figure it out. But and I've had students who will let things go and go and go, and then the last week of the class they're like dying because they have so much to do. Try to use those deadlines to stay on top of the assignments, because if you don't, things will snowball on you. So it's like this week's pretty easy. You just have a discussion forum. And then next week, I think you have a reflection question, which I'm about to publish all that to you here in a little bit. You have a reflective question, and I think you have like part 1 of, you have a quiz to do. It's no big deal. It's not even a quiz. It's really more of a self-assessment kind of thing. But then you start getting case studies, and then you get the midterm and all that. So like I said, I know what it's like in school, and I know there's times that it is insanity, and you're about ready to pull your hair out, and so are the kids. So, take those breaks if you need to, but just be careful so you don't put yourself in a hole. Does that make sense? I'm pretty easygoing, Now I will tell you, I have a double major in special ed and English, so I do tend to be, some people say I'm really hard when it comes to grammar and usage and writing and stuff. I try not to do the red line English teacher stuff, but this is graduate school, so I do expect you to write like you were in graduate school. So of course, use correct grammar and spelling and capitalization and all that. And make sure you cite your sources. And I push you to do that. For those of you that may go on to the doctorate, that is a huge big deal about citing your sources. Yeah, I see Latoya shaking her head. So I want you to practice with me where it's not going to be devastating and they don't turn back your whole dissertation because you didn't write an APA style like you're supposed to. So, this is the training ground for that aspect of the course. Let me think what else. A lot of times people get confused about Turnitin. When you go to submit an assignment in Moodle, it's pretty simple. You do the assignment, you hit submit. You'll get a Turnitin percentage. I don't get too hung up on those, but if your Turnitin percentage is like 35%, basically they're telling you you have plagiarized 35% of your assignment. So you might want to go back and revisit that assignment. If your percentage is 20% or under, you're fine, don't worry about it. But the big thing is after you get the percentage back from Turnitin, make sure you hit submit again. Because what I find is a lot of students will do that, they get the Turnitin percentage and it's fine, but they don't ever actually submit their assignment. So I can't grade it until it's officially submitted, okay? I will try to, I know students like sometimes to work ahead. I try being the operative word, to open up each week the Thursday before. There are occasions where I don't do that, but and this particular session is going to be really challenging for me because I'm like on a huge project that I'm working on, and I'm teaching 3 classes and I'm advising 1,000+ students. But I'm going to try to at least give you a week or 2 at a time ahead. So I have no problem with you working ahead. You don't need a textbook. I've given you some suggestions. Those are for nothing more than if you want to build a professional library. We're not going to use them in the course. I'll provide everything that you need. There are no tests and there are no quizzes. Everything will be either a discussion forum posting, a reflective response, a case, or a case study. So even the midterm is a case study, okay? So you're not going to have to spend hours and hours and hours prepping for a test. Quite frankly, what I give you is probably harder than a test because it's someone involved. But I do, just so you know too, case studies are given because most of the certification tests, so if you want to take the principal certification or some other, like to be a teacher leader, they're moving more and more towards case study type assessments. And so I want you to have some practice with me. And then finally, the case studies that I do are generally pulled from real life experience. And I want you to walk away with something in this class that you can actually implement and use. So, you know, one of the things that we'll do is we'll build, we're going to do some curriculum standards unpacking. And once you learn how to do that, I'm telling you, it's like the best thing ever as a teacher, or, you know, and I'm thinking about those of you that are, you know, at the collegiate level. You know, we're constantly being asked to do objectives and goals and align it to a standard and all this kind of stuff. So I'm going to teach you some tricks on how to do that, etc. So hopefully you'll walk away with some things that you can implement immediately, and then certainly put in your backpack for when you become whatever it is you want. These may be some tools you can look back on. Okay. All right, questions, comments, concerns? Okay, y'all are gonna make this way too easy on me. Okay, all right, well then we're gonna end a little bit early, so I'm gonna give you approximately 17 minutes of your life back that you didn't expect to get tonight. So stay safe, happy Halloween tomorrow, stay warm if you're in Louisiana. It's gonna be crazy weather tonight and tomorrow as usual. And then we'll see you guys back next week. Y'all have a great night.